What's up, y'all? I'm Waterboy, and welcome to the Water Pod, man. What can I say about this guest I got today? Uh, just some of the accolades. I mean, former Geechee One Performer of the Year, Battle of the Bands winner, Open Mic Explosion winner. I mean, like I said, if you've been in the hip-hop music scene in Charleston for the last 15 years, there's no way you haven't heard this dude's name. My brother, Snow Dog, the American Dream, Dusty Roadz.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Yes, sir, man. Hey, it's a pleasure. I'm glad that you could be here for the inaugural episode, man. My first one. I wouldn't have it any other way but to have you, brother.
It's an honor to be asked to be on part of the Green Couch, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm
know
glad
what I'm
you
saying?
got this. This is dope.
Yeah,
this is a
man.
dope setup, man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, just because I've obviously had a home studio for as long as you've known me, so once I listen to podcasts, that's about 90% of what I ingest, you know what I mean? Because music's trash. No, I'm just joking. I like music too, bro. But I had half the equipment, man, and I got a lot of dope friends, you being one of them, people that I consider family, man. And so I was just like, it's just a natural transition, man. But this podcast ain't about me, dog. It's about you, man.
Know.
So, like...
But just since you said something, who are you listening to podcast-wise? Before we get into it, I just want to kind of pick your brain.
My favorite is the Brilliant Idiots, man. I love listening to Charlemagne, my boy from Monk's Corner.
Yeah. The Concrete Bully.
Yeah, Andrew Schultz is on there with him, and I'm glad a lot of people are getting hip to Andrew Schultz because I've been listening to their podcast for a few years now, and they've actually had a podcast for way longer, so I'm actually a rookie, new to the game, but I'm glad people are getting hip to Schultz because the dude is, you know, it's one of them podcasts where you feel like you're part of the team. You know what I mean? Like you can ride down the road. Sometimes I even want to like say something like, "Man, this is my time."
The best ones are the ones that feel like it's not business.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure,
like,
for sure.
Somebody flipped on the camera and some guys hanging out just talking jive. Like that's the best one. I'm a big Theo Von. I love.
I was about to say, man. I love Theo Von. He's amazing at it. Obviously, I like Joe Rogan, but I mean, Joe Rogan is more like I like the fact that I could pick through and pick what I want to hear from him. You know what I mean? Right. So that's real dope because I can be like a scientist one day and then an idiot.
Yeah, for sure.
Stoner the next day. So that's real cool. But yeah, man, I'm glad that you're gonna be a part of it, man. I think this thing's gonna grow. I think it's gonna do good. Man.
I agree. But you're a brilliant mind, man. So I mean,
I appreciate that, man.
Anything you start on, you're perfectionist. So
yeah.
I know any kinks that come, you're gonna make sure they get.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm excited to embark upon this. But I've seen you've been getting into like the retro gaming and stuff lately, bro. Like, what's up with that, man?
So I mean, you and I mean, as long as we've known each other, we've always been shoe head. Like, I'm not gonna say sneaker heads because. The term sneakerhead now, they like take it way too far.
Yeah, I know, bro.
We've always loved shoes. Like, we've collected shoes, we've shared shoes, we've off shoes.
Well, now if you're a reseller, you're a sneakerhead.
Exactly. Like it's a whole nother,
I wear mine.
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing. So I don't know, man. I feel like I got older. I finally figured out how to work a TikTok, and I fell into this rabbit hole of like older dudes my age that are bringing back the old school games and stuff, and I was like, every time I watched a video, I was like, man, I remember that as a kid, and it gave me this feeling like I know I'm not gonna have that same feeling as I did as a kid, but if I can get close to how happy I was then, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And I just started smallly, collecting. I had like a Sega tucked away that I brought back to life, and my boy Indy, came down and dropped off a bunch of systems that weren't working. So I taught myself via YouTube how to fix them, and before I knew it, I ended up with an entertainment system just full of old video game stuff, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, I feel you. I think that's like why I'm doing this podcast thing now, is because like people like us, man, creative minds are very imaginative. So like,
yeah, if one thing isn't working, you'll find something.
Right,
else.
You're gonna find something you got to pour your creativity and your imagination into. So I'm glad you're doing that. I got to come over here and give you that smoke on the NBA jams. Like that's the only thing I'm really good at. Dog.
Yeah, man, I got them in the case waiting on you, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, I can't wait to play that, man. That's one of my favorites, and some F-Zero and some. I've been
stuck on Donkey Kong Country, man.
Bro, what was the what was the game? It's like a sample on a Lil Wayne song. Um, with the Beast. It's
Altered Beast.
Altered Beast.
Oh,
the you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The block is hot.
So check this out. You know how when Nintendo came out, they made Mario like the head figure.
Yep.
So when Sonic dropped, everybody thinks Sonic was. Or I'm sorry, when Sega dropped, it was assumed that Sonic was like the head figure.
Yeah.
The original figure for Sega was actually the Altered Beast game. So
that makes sense because I feel like when I was younger and I first got a Sega, that was like the first game we had.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like Sonic came a little later.
Right.
Like we had that, and we had Mortal Kombat.
That's right.
And then Sonic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I love Sonic.
Oh yeah,
Sonic and Tails, and the one where they brought Knuckles out.
Right.
What was that? 3?
That was 3. Yeah.
3.
Yep.
That one was dope too, man. So I like to see that you're getting into stuff like that too, man. So that's real dope.
Not only that, it actually, before I'd have my son in his room playing Xbox Live, Rachel sitting over in the corner on the phone doing what she's doing, and I'm down there playing games or something. But this has brought like our whole family together. Like they all want to play the old school stuff. My son at first he was like, "These pixels, Dad," like how can you play this? And now he's like the first one, like, "Oh, I want to play Sonic." Or
well, that's like something I've told my son, like that. I feel like this generation has missed a lot with technology. Like technology is, in a weird way, it's like brought all of us closer, but it's pushed all of us apart at the same time because it's like I could talk to you. You could be miles and miles and miles away, and I could talk to you. But like back in the day, like you could ride your bike through the neighborhood and be like, "Oh, there's Jimmy's bike, and there's Tommy's bike. Like I'm stopping by
they
there.
Must be in there getting it on the game.
I know them boys in there split screening some GoldenEye right now. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean too. Is like I was gonna bring up his GoldenEye because it's like, bro,
dude, classic.
They don't know like Call of Duty like is crazy of a game and how like immersive that shit is now. It's nothing compared to like sitting there with 4 of your homies and 2 or 3 waiting to get next, and you're like, "What we playing? We playing one shot, one kill. We playing, we got golden guns. We playing proximity mines.
We going to the temple, bro. Like, man, these stages were so small, but back then it felt like things were so.
I noticed that because I can't remember. Somebody had a 64 not too long ago, and we broke out the GoldenEye, and I was like, man, like you said, it felt like the stages were just like humongous, so big, right? And all that, and now they're tiny, man. But not like the facility. Like that was the one that wasn't big, but that's when you wanted to find out who was really about it. Was you go to the facility, that's dude, and they start you in that damn air conditioning duct, and you're like, bro, I got
which bathroom stall in? I love it,
dude. I gotta hold it down in this bathroom right now, like. But that's what's cool, man. I mean, I'm glad that like they've progressed and all that, but I think it's something to be said. Like the '90s was like the last. Late 80s through the 90s.
90s greatest
That was the last era of like we had just enough technology where like you could call somebody or text or get on AOL or like we had enough of it where you could still do some of the things that they're doing today, but it was scarce enough where it was like you still had to go like to the skating rink and hang out with people, and it's like now it's just like you can sit in your room by yourself and send Snapchats to a girl and never really go talk to her, or hang out with her, or even your homeboys. It's like, look what I'm doing, or I'm sitting at home and like, let's get on and play video games. It's like, man,
even more than games. I mean, the '90s. I think the movies and music was top of the.
Oh, for sure. Like it's weird. You watch back on some of the movies. Like, actually, me and my daughter this morning watched Hook.
Oh, sweet.
And I love that movie, bro.
Dustin Hoffman.
No, Robin Williams.
Oh, well, Dustin Hoffman was Hook.
Oh,
but yeah.
My bad. Yeah. Classic. But yeah, he was Hook. And the dope thing about it was, what was funny to me about it, I should say, is that the first 20 minutes of that movie is real slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And like for us in the 90s, like that's how movies were.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? But
you had
for
to
her,
build into the...
Yeah, but for her, she was just like Dad, when are they going? When is it going to get to the good
instant
part?
gratification. They want instant gratification.
Yeah, they want the instant gratification. Right. They were just like, when we gonna get to the good part of it? You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's coming, it's coming. But I will say, dude, like, what inspired you to get into music? I won't say I will say. I would like to ask you. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a good segue. Like, what inspired you to get into music?
Well, I mean, so I was raised by my grandparents, and they always listened to old gospel and older country. And it wasn't my mother. She was kind of in and out of trouble when I was little, and when I got to the point where I could actually spend time with her visitation wise. I just vaguely remember car trips and hearing hip hop for the first time, and it changed everything. It changed how I wanted to be looked at, and made me want to be more creative. I always wrote like Hallmark type poetry to girls and notes and stuff, and I knew how to put words together, but I'd never been musically inclined, so to speak. But coming into middle school and then getting into high school, I just hung out with a bunch of dudes who all wanted to try rapping, and that was in the, don't want to show my age too much, but we had handheld tape recorders, and we would literally like record a beat that we hear and then record over it with lyrics and pass it around. It started kind of cheesy.
Same.
But that's how I learned how to articulate words, and it just grew from there. Okay. But I wasn't raised, to be, no one in my family plays instruments or was very musically inclined. It was just
I mean, that's the same with me, man. I've had a great affinity for music and hip hop, but nobody in my family played instruments. Nobody in my family. I mean, there's some. I guess you could say there's a lot of creativity in my family. You know, some people that can draw, some people that can write, but nothing really musically, and so. I came up in the same kind of era as you, as like middle school, like I guess hip hop was taking off in the 80s, in the 80s, and then gangster rap, and so but it was still kind of a disconnect between people who liked it hadn't hit the mainstream, and in the 90s it really hit the mainstream. Like when you were going to school in the 90s, that's what it was.
You had it was around you.
It was no choice. You know what I'm
even
saying?
from the bus stop.
Yeah.
Standing at the bus stop, somebody had a Walkman or whatever they had back then, and you could just hear the boom baps and the beats going off in the headphones, and it was
So like, what was your first song that you remember? Do you remember like your first like, or maybe your first CD or tape you got?
That same trip that I'm speaking of, that I remember riding with my mom when she first got custody of me or whatever. Two particular items I remember in the car was a cassette tape of Dr. Dre The Chronic. And what made that stand out to me was like the cover was so different than all hip hop covers.
Right.
It was elegant. It looked like a frame with this random dude in the middle. So I don't know. It always stuck with me. And Quad City DJs Come and Ride This Train was kind of hard back then.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was playing like on rotation crazy times on the radio. And I just remember like, I love the groove of that.
Oh, dude, it's funny you said that, because the song that like kind of, I don't want to say introduced me to hip hop because it's not hip hop, but that like really, like I was like, oh, this is different kind of music, and it kind of led me into that way, was the CC and the Music Factory.
Oh yeah,
I got the power.
Oh, definitely.
Like that song and that beat, it was just like, oh, like cause I grew up like my dad was into like Rat. And Travis Tritt, so it was like hard rock and country, and then my mom was into like all the Elton John and Ace of Base and all that kind of stuff. Like she was into like more of the pop scene and chick rock, like Alanis Morissette, and Sheryl Crow, and
Natalie
all that,
Merchant,
all that kind of stuff. So. I'd never heard something like CC and the Music Factory, just boom, 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 like with
I think that's why we get along so well. Is like our paths are stupid similar,
right?
Like different outcomes, but like just the way we got there is quite similar. Man.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my mom was the hip hop head, but her sisters, my aunts, along with their friends, it was all Motley Crue, and like you said, Rat, Scorpions. Bon Jovi. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So I went from like old gospel country into 80s rock hair band stuff, and then mom was like, boom, hit you with this hip hop. So I had already had like a whole bunch of damn different genre catalogs in my brain of music, and that just opened my eyes to a whole nother.
So what was like instead of what you heard, like what was the first like album that was yours that was hip hop? Do you remember that?
That was mine.
Yeah, that like you asked to get.
I secretly bought Rex and Effect. Rex and Effect from a yard sale cassette tape.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I heard. All I wanted to do was zoom.
Yeah,
that was one of the first songs I ever heard with like subwoofers.
Yeah, right.
So like my cousin, my dad's cousin. He's my second cousin, so a lot older than me. But he used to come up from Augusta, and my dad and him both had these like 1990 or 91 Camaros, and they both put like 10s in the back of that little hatchback joint. Yeah. And he had the Rex and Effect CD, and that was like one of the first songs I ever heard.
Bro, I remember like trying to sneak it into the boombox and like just to play it because like I had secretly bought it and it was just like burning in my pocket. Like I gotta hear it, man. Wow. I gotta hear it, and like sneak it into the boombox as low as you can and like catch a vibe. What, Dusty? What are you listening to? And you know what I mean? Like
that's funny.
They're talking about something you had no business listening to.
Yeah, my first album was LL Cool J. What was the one with Boyz II Men, Mr. Smith or something like that?
When he got into the R&B, like the real R&B vibe.
Yeah, that Hey Lover was on there. You know what I'm saying? Like doing it. Well, I think Doing It was before that album.
Oh, okay.
Or it might have been on that album, but I know for a fact that the Boyz II Men joint was on there. You know what I'm saying? And that song, for whatever reason, I was real into Boyz II Men.
Oh, they were goats,
I'm sure a lot of people was, but I had this homie named Whitney that we both lived in like these Section 8 houses and apartments or whatever, and like I got that for my birthday or something. I told my dad I wanted the LL Cool J and the Boyz II Men, which the only reason I wanted
with the big Cool 2 J, on the front.
Yes.
Man,
so that's the album I wanted, and then I wanted the LL Cool J simply because it had that Boyz II Men on it. Because I was huge into Boyz II Men, so like that's.
So you wanted everything that had them on.
So I was like, I need to get this LL Cool J album because again, technology's different. Like we couldn't just Apple Music or iTunes.
That's right.
It was like if you wanted to hear a song, bro, you had to buy the album.
Oh no, you remember the joints that used to come in the mail?
Yeah, could, like, Columbia House.
Oh my gosh, bro! I got reamed so many times. Man, I ended up with 20 discs at the house. Like, Where did this come from? I don't know about nothing, man.
Nah, for real. I love that time, man. But man, it's just
we're
crazy,
far away from that era, man.
Yeah, it's done came and went on us. It's done came and went, bro. So like, I guess I told you coming into this interview, we've known each other a long time, so I want to kind of step back and learn some things about you that I might not know, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I know loosely, but for instance, how was home life growing up? You know, did you have your mom and dad around? I mean, you just mentioned that your mom went off on a little tangent, and I mean, I'm not telling you that you gotta like demonize anybody or get into the whole story of things, but how was it? Like, how, what molded you to have? Because I know you as a very passionate, empathetic, like you can get into your bag and you can get that snow dog to come out and we could do some grimy stuff, but you also have that other side of you that, you know what I mean? Like I can hear the pain through your music and stuff like that, and that ain't something that just comes naturally. It's like it's what you've been through, you know what I mean?
So I'm kind of like Baloo from Jungle Book,
right?
Like I love and get along with everybody, but don't poke the bear. It's that easy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I of course I had a dad, but that my male figure in life split before I was born. Like I said, mom was in and out of trouble, so day I was born, my grandparents snatched me up, took custody of me. Very church going, God-fearing people. So I grew up with a lot of love. I'm not going to lie, I really didn't have to struggle for a whole lot because grandparents made it happen, as they do with many people. My story is similar to a lot of people, man. I didn't really have my parents. They were doing their own thing. And grandparents raised me up the best they could. They both worked their ass off all my life. When I wasn't with them, I was in daycare and that type of thing. But I think my loving side comes from my granny. She was my when I was getting out of school. Like I said, my grandparents were working their ass off all the time. So getting out of school, I would either go to daycare or granny would watch me. And she was like my best friend. I mean, people growing up had somebody next door, across the street they grew up with. I really didn't have a whole lot of that. I'd get home and sit at the table with granny for hours, and she was always doing something, whether it was washing the dishes or shelling peas or preparing dinner for that night for my grandparents. And she's the kind of person that would sit down and, like, back then I took it for granted because I was just like, I'd want to get it over with and go do my own thing.
Yeah.
Now I wish I could go back and sit at the table and hear some of those stories again. But she talked about God a lot, about Jesus and how I should act towards people and what I should expect in return. So I got to thank her. You know, she's no longer with us. She passed away in '08. But a lot of how I am personally came from that side.
Okay. So do you feel like, the not having your dad around and stuff led you to have such drive and to be there for your son a lot more?
Oh, absolutely. For the music thing, it definitely helped me out with content because I had plenty to say.
Right.
But yeah, when you go into being a father, first of all, I went through 30 something years of my life thinking I couldn't have kids.
Right.
You know, and then I got that surprise and boom, there's a kid on the way, and best thing that ever happened to me. I definitely from day one was like, I'm going to do everything that my father didn't do.
Yes.
And I try to, even now my son's getting older, he's 8 and he's getting into that, God, Dad, I don't want to cuddle or, give hugs phase. And I'm still like, hey, son, come give your pops a hug.
Like,
it's kind of hard.
Don't be like that.
Right.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard watching them grow up, man. You wish they could stay small forever. But,
yeah, for sure. It's real hard. My son, I mean, he's 16 now, bro. And, you know what I mean? Like, we talk, because, I mean, I take him to school every day and stuff like that. But, yeah, like you said, like, weird enough, watching Hook this morning, you might not remember this from the movie, but in the beginning of the movie, Robin Williams, Peter Pan,
he was having a hard time getting to his son's games.
Yeah, and getting to his son's games, and he was being that that kind of absent parent, and he was working all the time, and but his wife says something to him at one point because they're supposed to be spending time with their kids on this vacation, and his wife is just like, this time is short. You know what I mean? Like, the time right now, meaning, like, our kids are all young. You know what I mean? Like, they just want to play with you. They want to hang out with you. They want to talk to you. And, like, before you know it, tomorrow, like, they're going to be hanging out with their friends, or they're going to be going off to school or doing this.
And we're on the bottom of the totem pole all of a sudden.
You're not going to be the guy that, and it's going to flip because you're going to be chasing them. Like, right now they're chasing you, but then you're going to be chasing them.
Right.
So, like, yeah. Kids movies for the win.
No doubt, man. I mean, it's funny how those messages prevail later in life.
For sure, man. I mean, there's a lot. Like, I mean, musically, like, I don't know if when I had a daughter, like, I don't like Darius Rucker, wherever you are, quit making songs like that. But that Won't Be Like This for Long song or whatever, bro. Like, that song, I don't even like to listen to that. Once I had a daughter, and like, sons and daughters are different. I think, like, daughters, I feel like I think like the way women are with girls is kind of how men are with boys. It's like, as a woman, you want to raise a woman that finds a husband that's suitable and that you don't have to, that could take care of you. But as a man, you're like, with a daughter, you're like, oh well, I'll always be here for you, baby.
Yeah, right.
But it's the opposite. But I feel like it's the flip side. Whenever you're a man with a son, you're like, I'm trying to raise you up so that you ain't gonna need me.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'll always be here if you do.
Yeah.
But that's like my goal is like I want you to, like, we try to raise kids that's gonna be better than us, and like I think that's your goal from what I've heard. Is
100%.
You try to be better than the father you were given, and then you want your son to be better than the father that he was given, and
I mean, even though I was treated and given almost anything I wanted when I was younger, I still got in trouble just like the people who had to struggle and do what they had to do to make ends meet.
Yeah, well, I mean, our story is very similar too because like I didn't have my granny was very prevalent in my life. My grandparents were very prevalent in my life as well. You know what I mean? And I'm not throwing no shade. My dad, me and him are great. We got a great relationship now, and stuff was rocky through the teenage years. But I think as boys, you know what I mean? When you're coming into your own, I'm sure you can attest to that, especially if you were raised by your grandparents. It's a huge generation gap. So
Big.
like you said, they're church going, they listen to gospel, and
Right.
like you're into the hip hop scene, and you're like, yo, I'm coming into my own as a man. Like the last thing I want to do is be like my grandparents.
Yeah,
which is,
yeah.
Then you get older.
I mean, good.
And you're like, I wish I was more like y'all. You
Right.
know what I mean? Y'all had it figured out. I thought I did.
I'd say like a good 15% of my life, childhood wise, was just sneaking, trying to be cool, because my version of cool, or that age version of cool, was different than my grandparents' version of cool. You know?
Yeah.
Just something simple. My grandma was always big on like wearing my pants up on my damn belly button.
Yeah.
Come on, ma.
Tuck your shirt in.
Nobody
wear your
at school
pants
wears their pants like that,
Yeah.
ma. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to bust a sag, but I can wear them on my waist and be good.
Right.
Like, why you trying to jack me up like Dewey Dupin for? You know what I mean? But yeah, the age gap difference between raised by regular parents and grandparents was huge enough to. It definitely impacted a lot of things in life, but.
I hear you, man. That's just it's crazy how things just go a certain way, man, and you end up overcoming it, and you end up. What I'm trying to say, what I meant to say is like, it's crazy how, when you're younger, you feel one way about a situation. When you get older, it's like, cause for me, it's like I used to be the same way bagging my pants, but then like I feel like my pants have gotten higher. An inch higher each year.
Each year you get older.
I mean? Yeah. Like
right.
now, if my things is hanging a little off my waist, I'm like, I need to go get my belt.
That's right. That's right.
This is uncomfortable.
I've contemplated
you know what I mean?
suspenders because look, I'm a purebred Caucasian white boy. I got no ass at all, so my pants slide down already
got
naturally.
That Hank Hill dumper back there.
I'm telling you, boy. Big in the front, nothing in the back. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what do you do for you? You sell propane and propane accessories, my boy?
Whacking them a tool shed. Yeah, man.
Well, man, I mean, I know that, are you planning on dropping a solo project anytime, man? I mean, come on, son.
I mean, I've been working on Country Root, Southern Rock. Well, I don't even remember the name. I've been working on that album for like 10 years now.
Well, we need to hear it, man, before you hang it up.
I have 0 recorded right now, but I have pushed around the idea of starting something. I just don't know. Just what I'm interested in right now is just so all over the place, and I don't want to bite from anything that I like personally. I want to do something that's authentic me.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's so all over the place. I don't know how I want to attack it yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, part of me wants to do like a emo rock. Part of me wants to do a country rap. Part of me wants to just keep it hip hop. But it's like to master like all of it in one, to me would be like the way I want to go out. Like,
yeah,
if I could have a third of the CD jamming rock, a third of the CD kind of country outlaw, and a third, the other regular hip hop, I'd be happy. But I don't know how that would go over. So I'm kicking around some things, and I'm sure I'm gonna pick your brain and a couple other people that I look up to.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm always here for you, and that is the difficulty when you're doing an album, man. Is like, do I want to stick to a concept? Do I want it to be completely free? And so that's something that's always been difficult for me too. Like because I'm the kind of guy that's just like, yo, just put a beat on. I don't want no inhibitions. I don't want no like forethought. I just want to see what comes to me. And that works a lot of times, but there's something to be said about putting together a project that's just like very well thought out. And I can't say that I've ever really done that because I'm very...
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm so lost and like pulled in so many different directions. I don't know if I want to do an album, if I just want to drop some songs and just drop them. maybe shoot some videos for them and just do it like that, or I don't know, man. So much goes into an album. Like we just dropped Baggage Claim. You seen how long it took to.
Yeah,
and still didn't push it.
Shameless plug. We just dropped Baggage Claim, so
and I feel like it still didn't. I hate to say it, but I just feel like everything we do, we don't push it enough, or it's like missing something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And
we're very bad about like, and you mentioned TikTok earlier had led you into, the gaming thing, the retro gaming, but TikTok has showed me too that like, we're very like, we think the music should speak for itself, and
right.
and the talent should speak for itself, but in this day and age, like it just doesn't.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
because you got 10 seconds.
Yeah, you really do.
Literally,
you
you
really
got
do.
10 seconds to grab the attention of that listener.
Yep.
And if it doesn't in that 10 seconds, you're skipped and it's on to the next one. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And I mean, I dig it because I'm the same way. If my attention isn't caught in the first 10 minutes, I'm probably gonna press skip.
Definitely musically.
Yeah, musically.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of other things, maybe not, but musically, like you gotta draw me in with the beats. Gotta draw me in, or the vocal or the concept. But it's tough, man. I feel the same way with you with Baggage Claim. I just feel like it's a very good album, and like the people that's actually, listened to it and gave me feedback is been great. You know what I mean?
That's right. Because it is not to toot our own horn, but like we haven't put out nothing bad.
No.
No. Even The Shining, which is probably the worst of what we've put out because it was just so all over the place. I still think that.
Yeah, there's
compared to other stuff that's out there.
Yeah, there's not a bad, like The Shining, there's not a bad song on it. It's just not very structured.
Yeah,
so
right.
like, it's like you said, it's all over the place. So you might not like one song, but you definitely gonna like another song. I feel like Baggage Claim is our like most solid album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like definitely has a little bit of everything for everyone.
Right.
So, and I thought we packaged it well. The merch looks good. Everything looks great. So, I don't know, man. I mean,
basically what it comes down to is go to Apple and download Baggage Claim.
Yeah, please.
Let us know how you feel about it.
Yeah, check it out, man. I mean, we got Bishop Dripper on there. We got Marley Mars on there.
P. Watts.
Yeah.
Us
for sure, all of us. So.
Big City. I know a lot of y'all know Big City.
Yeah, shout out Big City, man. I'm gonna have him on the pod too. I got some poets lined up. I got some other podcast hosts lined up. My boy Salvatore. I'm gonna have some podcasts strewn in with him, and got him behind the cameras right now, working the boards. We got my boy Foolish working the cameras.
Salvatore is my favorite local rapper that never.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like if you don't know Schizo, man, or if you do know Schizo, if you do know Schizo, if you know, you know. If you don't know Schizo, I feel sorry for you.
He is that one motherfucker, y'all.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of what I'm saying too with the podcast, bro. Is like I'm hoping that it's something that we could build and promote with, but I don't want it to just be like we cutting a promo every time we get on here.
No,
you know
we talked about
this
like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And
me and Teardrop, like 8 years ago, we started a podcast, but our lives were just so going in such different directions that we did like 5 or 6 podcasts, and they were great because him and I, but it was on some other stuff because him and I are very like well read, so we were just talking about like I don't even know how well it would have been. Yeah, I don't know how well it really would have been received. Maybe I mean there's always a lane for everybody, but we were on some, we talking about like literature and and the universe and space, which I mean, you could talk about that with anybody, but me and him just was like on some other stuff. So maybe it wouldn't have took off, but I've always had an interest in podcasting, and I think it's a real good way to just get what I will say. What the main thing is, especially like you, me, we've always done music, and I've noticed in this new day and age, and I'm not doing a podcast for y'all to go listen to my music. I would love for y'all to listen to my music, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not trying to cut a promo. But what I'm saying is that people people nowadays don't the artists, they like to engage with the artists. They want to know about you. And like the way we came up was just like, yo, if you want to know about me, go listen to this track I wrote about my upbringing.
Yeah,
Go
because
listen
we
to this
had
track
no
about
way
my
to
mom.
look up.
Like, yeah, we didn't have a way to like really talk to our audience the way that we do now. And not only that, it was just like the I don't know, we just didn't have the right platforms to do it. But now, and that's why I wanted to have you on as well. And I didn't want to. That's why I've been talking to you about things other than music, is because I don't know that the only thing your fans really know about you, if they don't follow you on like Facebook and see some of the family things you post,
Yeah.
but or your socials,
Right.
is whatever you said in your music.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to I want them to get to know you. I want them to get to know me. Like, I've never really opened up this way. If you wanted to know something about me, then you had to listen to the music.
Yeah.
And then even with that, it's like you're getting a very constricted perspective, because I only got 16 bars, or I only got 3 minutes if I do a whole song. Like, I don't have this open forum where I can really talk to you. So
Right.
that's why I was trying to like bring you on, and just I'd like for your fans to get to know you better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's really about. If you can connect with your fans in that way, because I've seen it on TikTok a lot too. Is like people will follow these people that they've never even listened to their music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They fall in love with this person, and then it's like comedians all the time. I see comedians that just like do little TikToks or Instagram reels or whatever, and then before you know it, they're selling out theaters, because the people don't even care what your stand-up is at that point. They're
Right.
just like, you're funny in 10-second clips at a
Yeah,
time.
no doubt. Yeah.
So I'd have to like you doing an hour-long special. But you know, that's my goal, is that people could dig deeper into who you are and what you're about. So
I think that's good, because I mean, there's so much more to us than just what you hear on the music on side. I mean,
100%.
I love doing interviews. I've done 3 or 4 the past couple months. Shout out to Sean Dobie and those to Watch Radio for having me, and those are great. You know, to get on there and promote your music, let people know who you are. But we're so much deeper than that. Like just this past year, I've became kind of an advocate for speaking out for a disease that I have called idiopathic chronic urticaria. It's kind of like it's a skin condition, busts out in hives, and it's kind of an epidemic. There's not a whole lot of study on it right now, but yeah, there's a lot of. I'm in a bunch of support groups for that on Facebook. I think
is there ways to combat it? Did they have medications, or is it dietary?
So of course, I'm not in the upper bracket to.
You're not a scientist. So disclaimer.
Yeah, and there's levels to it. I mean, some people are have it more serious than others. So there are things that combat it with your regular, your Allegra and things like that. That on a mild case, on a case like I have, and a lot of people that I speak for have. Like the top dog medication for it's called, I don't know if we should say it, but it's called Xolair. Basically, it's a medicine. What they've said is in a year's time, you could spend up to 23 grand just on this one medicine. So if you're not top tier dog, high bracket, balling guy, you kind of just got to suffer through life with it. And it really is debilitating. I mean, there's people who can't get up and go to work because it's just too painful. And it's sad that there's not as far as we came in technology, especially in modern day medicine wise, it's sad that there are still things that people are suffering with that they can't get a cure for because of money.
Oh, 100%.
Not even going to get into the whole politics of big pharma thing and stuff like that, but
get into it.
I mean, if you know someone that's, a lot of people don't, those are things you don't see through the naked eye, so you don't never know what someone's going through.
No, for sure.
And I think it's important that if you're close to someone and you notice a slight difference in the way they act or how many times you've seen them or why they've gone ghost, to me, there's always a reason. It might be small, it might be big, but reach out, you know what I'm saying? And just check on your partners every now and then, because you never know just from looking at someone what they could be going through.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I will say, so what would you say to the people that don't have the upper echelon tax bracket money to get that medication? or are there any things that you can do like?
I definitely would reach out to a specialist.
Okay.
It could be something as simple as a dermatologist.
Well, I like that. That's a very safe
Yeah,
answer.
a
You
family.
don't want to lead nobody wrong.
No,
but
no, a family.
I was just asking more of like, is there like dietary things you could do?
Sure,
or,
I mean that's one of the first things they
or
try to
home
tell
remedies, or
you. I've tried a few home remedies, none that
okay.
Like
So
I
nothing,
said, there's levels to it. I think if it was a mild case for me,
so definitely talk with your healthcare
for
provider
sure, because
first.
and it can be serious. It can cause asphyxiation. It could swell up your throat. You cut off your breathing. Like I said, there's levels to it. It kind of depends on how bad your situation is. But small or big, I definitely say see a specialist because there might be things you don't see that they could do tests on and find out. But it's definitely a epidemic thing that's growing in the medical field. This thing's kind of taking over its life.
I mean, it seems like in this day and age, for whatever reason, a lot of things are starting to get more and more prevalent. Like, what is it? RSV has been getting real bad. I mean, I know a few months, maybe 6-8 months ago, like mumps were coming back and measles and all kinds of like different things. So I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I've always feel like it's got a lot to do with the way our food is or something. Which I mean, I'm not saying that's like. I don't know anything about.
Listen,
the
we could put on our tinfoil hats, and I can tell you some.
Yeah, we could go.
And listen, I'm not the biggest.
They're crop.
I'm not the biggest study of that type of stuff, but I'm in a relationship with someone who is.
Yeah,
so I
chemtrails.
Chemtrails. I hear it all. I hear it all, and at first, I was like, this chick is crazy, bro. Like, I was calling my family members, like, I don't know why I'm just realizing this, but I might be with a wild one and I don't know how to get out of this type of thing. And then as I started to realize that if I love this woman, I need to accept her and her mind and even the things she's into that kind of like make me steer away.
Right.
I started realizing like shit kind of makes fucking sense if you start thinking about it, man.
Like I said, I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on either, but I'll tell you what, through COVID, either you're blind, deaf, or dumb, or you're just ignoring the fact that things aren't always as they seem. People aren't always telling you the truth, and there is outside influence on our political system, on our pharmaceutical system, on our school system, like all of that. Whether to what degree, I won't say, and because I don't know, but you can't as a rational thinking human being think that like everyone has their best interest for you and all that. So
these people are opportunists,
and
man,
like
in any
a
time.
lot of times the truth is stranger than fiction. So
that's a fact.
So like just because something sounds outlandish does not mean that it ain't true.
I mean, we've seen it recently. Like if I would have told you a year ago that a Chinese balloon is going to float from one coast to the other and end up in our state, you would have probably been like, yo, we need to drop this man because he's gone off the deep end. You know what I'm saying? But
no lie.
Hey.
But what's even crazier than that is they say that like that's like the fourth one in 2 years.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know about it. So that alone
they shot down some kind of like they shot down some kind of like UFO the other day too, right? Like, have you seen that? Yeah. And it looks like a big Vicodin pill, basically. It was floating around.
A Tic Tac? They shot down the Tic Tac?
That's what
Oh, man. Rogan's about to be popping next week.
Already, bro. That podcast, Spotify numbers is going to look crazy.
Calling all the weirdos out this week.
Yeah, man. So what a time to be alive, man. I mean, it's kind of crazy, dude. Like, we're really
So what do you see for... How do you see you transitioning with music? Do you see I mean, we've talked about the past, we talked about the present. What do you see for the future? I know we talked about maybe kicking around an album for you or whatever, but do you feel like you're going to start pushing your passion for music into because I've always kicked this around, like maybe managing other artists or looking out for other artists, or are you just like, I'm just going to coast out and find some new hobbies, and I'll probably always mess with music, but I'm not going to pursue it as hard? Or do you see yourself transitioning into more of the OG?
Water boy. I'm raising a beast, bro.
Are you? Okay, see, I like this.
And I mean,
like this.
and it started like, I started noticing it when he was little. He was like, okay, he's got the soul in him. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to keep a beat already. Because I still got, when I see my timeline on Facebook and stuff, I still have videos and like him with his little kitty keyboard, and he'd turn his hat backwards and throw the shades on like his dad and start making a beat with the keyboard. Already at 3 years old, I was just like, whoa. Now he's got his own book. Like when he'll think of a line, he'll run to his room and write the line
that's
down.
so dope.
Then he's starting to like figure out how to put it to a melody, because a lot of it was just kind of like, "My got a dog. My dog's cool. My dog," you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But now it's like he's formatting it,
right?
And it's like,
he's like getting the cadence.
Yeah, man. And when I'm done, that's gonna be my main focus. Because if that's what he wants to do, I'm gonna help push that.
Okay. Well, so if that's the case, then I would like this, because like I said, like this podcast for me, my vision for it, like I told you, was think harder, work smarter. If you want it to grow, just add water. And that's kind of how I've felt as a friend, as a confidant, as an artist, is like, I just want to see people grow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the most...
Always been that way.
Yeah, I'm the most, like, you know, I've got feelings and stuff like that, but I don't care. If you're my boy and I gave you a line, nobody will ever know I gave you that line. If you're my boy and I hooked you up with a session, I don't never tell nobody you recorded with my set. None of that. Like, I don't care. Like, I want to see people grow. If, you know what I mean? Like, if I helped you build something or do anything in life, bro, if I helped you, you gonna be the one to tell somebody I helped
For
you.
sure.
And that's just like who I am, and that's like, that's how I want this podcast to be. I want it to be about growth. So with that being said, you're an artist, I'm an artist, so I know as the host of this podcast, throughout however many episodes I do, I'm gonna drop game and drop jewels, but it's your day, it's your time. What would you say to an artist coming up? Like, what's something that you would say to do, what not to do? Like, so I mean, I guess I'll give you specific questions. What's like the worst thing you can do as an artist that's trying to get your name out there?
Base your time on somebody else.
Love it.
Groups are cool if y'all are all moving in unison. Mm-hmm. But as soon as someone steps out of bounds, it could throw the mountain off. So I'm not saying don't get involved with a group or a clique, but I would tell an artist to definitely bank on yourself and don't ever sell your time short for anybody.
Facts.
If I could go back and do it all over again, that's how I would have done it. But I base so much of my, I'm gonna go to the studio when he can go to the studio, or, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Find a way, because there's so many different resources you can use.
Yes.
Even at home by yourself. You know, we didn't have that. Like I said, we were doing hand recorders when we first started. So, bet on yourself. Use your time wisely. Don't take no for an answer. No matter what, get back up and keep pushing.
I like that.
But time is the biggest thing, man, because, like, the wasted time that I've not only just like sitting at home and not being in the studio, but even times I'd book a session and come out of there and not have nothing. You know, I wish I could go back all those hours and dollars spent and made something of that time. So
I agree with that. Like, because you know as well as I do that we've been in groups together multiple times. You've been in other groups as well, and I've done my solo thing in dispersed through times like that, and and you're right. Like, it's great to have a team because you can get so much more done, but it can also go the opposite way, because if you're not all on the same you're not all on the same wavelength and frequency, and you're not moving it, when you are, you're gonna go really far.
Yes.
But it only takes one or two to lose the frequency or get a little bit out of range, and then it's like you're like screaming into the abyss and you're not getting that echo back. You know what I mean? You're not the frequency's lost.
And we're still learning, even though we were in a group before the group we're in currently, like, we're still learning how this is all working. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think here recently, the wave we were on and how high we got, the drop off, it's just, it's disheartening, and it can make you depressed, or you could roll with the punches and see what comes out next. And I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah, that's where I'm at for sure. That's definitely where I'm at. Like I'm just I'm just trying to roll with the punches, man. Like, you know, like you're always gonna see things that you didn't think you were gonna see, or people are gonna make you feel ways that you didn't think they would make you feel. And like at the end of the day, they're people like I'm a person, so I just like you said, gotta roll with the punches. So I guess also, like, what would you tell an artist, like, as far as how to promote yourself, how to not fall into snares, like, because right now we're talking more about like being in a group or really pushing yourself, but you can't do everything by yourself, obviously. So what are some things that you should look out for as far as like promoters or managers or labels or things like that?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is find out who you are as an artist. What differentiates you as an artist from you as the human being, and that will mold you into what route you got to take as far as your resources. I think you always want to like have people on your team that understand your vision and where you're going with it. 'Cause listen, fact is, no one's gonna love your product as much as you love your product. No matter how hard you think it is, you know, you're gonna feel a different type of way than anyone else is gonna feel about it. So when you learn that and you accept that, it makes it a lot easier to deal with the negativity that comes with it. But if I would have had a beat maker like we have now with 40 ounce back before, I think that helps a lot to have someone versed in the game. Surround yourself with people who know what they're doing. Something that I've been totally against for the past couple of years is these new age artists that are coming in and they're just kind of being dragged left and right here and here to this show, and they're paying to perform. Like I did it for a long time because I felt like that was the only way I was going to get time on a microphone. But after a while, it was just like, all that money I spent trying to, $50 here, $50 there for 2 minutes on stage, I could have put that into some studio time and made 100%. Some product. You know what I mean? But I think these promoters who do that, if it's not going to better that artist, if you're just robbing these people for their money, I think that's shitty.
Yeah. And
I'm 100% against that. I don't play that. And I stopped a long time ago. People, man, come perform, you know, $10, $20 slot, come perform for... Nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this is my art. This is what I do. I took the time to write this, go record this. You pay me $20, I'll come perform for you. You know what I mean? Because I don't set no bounds on my art. You know what I mean? Like, you want me to come perform, you're going to have to pay something.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I always wondered, too, like, that, because a point I made to somebody not too long ago was, like, how come producers don't ever pay rappers to rap on their stuff?
No doubt.
Because, like, I've always bought beats, and I've always bought, and, like, it's like producers are like, man, these rappers don't want to pay, da-da-da. I'm like, well, why don't producers find great artists and either coincide with them? Because, like, to this day, like, if I'm recording or getting a beat, I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, why? And then if I'm performing, like you said, like now, no, I don't pay to perform. I get paid to perform. But if back in the day, like you said, we were paying to perform, we were paying the producers, paying the promoters, paying for flyers, paying. So the artist is literally the artist is what the only facet of this that can actually generate revenue.
Right.
Right. Nobody's listening to a beat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody's coming.
Unless they're an artist.
Right.
The average listener isn't
Nobody's
listening to
coming to your club unless somebody's performing at it.
Right.
So like, why is the artist paying for every facet of the game?
That's
but
right.
they're the only ones that can actually get all of these people paid.
Yeah. So at the same token, just to go back what I was saying about paying to perform, there are instances where pay to perform might be a good thing. Like I said, if it benefits the artist, there's no problem with it. If you got 50 artists who are going to get up there and perform, and they've all paid whatever fee it was and perform, and then at the end of the night they're just getting in their car and going home, I mean, that's shitty, man. Yeah. But if you're paying for a slot to open up for a big name artist or to get you from one state to the next in the competition, things like that are beneficial for that artist to begin with.
Yeah, at that point, you're paying for an opportunity at that point, for sure.
But if you're just paying for 2 minutes for somebody's hole-in-the-wall club, that there's no, like, you're going to be performing in front of the same people next week.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
well, something I learned since we've been together is, like, with Mason Jar, like, Creekside, we were very much on that tip where we were paying to perform or going to open mics or, you know what I mean? And, like, which was crazy because we had a huge following at that time and we could have been throwing our own shows like we do with Mason Jar. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I would tell younger artists, especially if you have a solid following of, it doesn't even have to be crazy. Like if you can pull 100 people to a place, you could get paid.
100%.
Period. And don't let nobody tell you can't. And instead of paying to go to this open mic that you could win $400 at or $500 and an hour of recording time at somebody's home studio, don't pay that $50 to go perform there and bring your 100 people because you know they're going to cheer and get you to win it. Bro, call that same club because they would rather have you bring 100 of your own people. Facts. And buy drinks and pay $5 to get in and you get to perform in front of your people and you ain't got to worry about nobody jerking you or not giving you the proper due or respect, and you can make your own money doing that. Right. 100%. And you don't need nobody else. So like, I guess like the real lesson that we're trying to preach is like, if you're going to be independent, then be independent.
Yeah. Like I said, bet on yourself.
Yeah.
If you can take all those extra funds that you'll be throwing out to this man and that man and put it on yourself, your own DJ, put it on your own producer,
right,
in your own studio, you'll be in the long run. You'll thank us later.
Yeah, man. 100%.
I'm good.
So is there
shout out to Miller High Life.
Anything else that you're interested in doing with your time?
This right here, man. I like the podcast stuff. I know we talked about it a couple months ago. I'm glad you got your foot in front of you and started getting it together. That way when I come in, you can teach me. Cause
Well, it's like you said, we had spoken about it, and I've spoken with other people about it, but like you were just saying, like having a group, it's so hard to get everybody on board. So like I'm starting this podcast as the Water Pod, as my podcast, but like I said earlier, I want to see everybody grow. So I'm hoping that this is just like a stepping stone to get everybody involved, because I have so many brilliant minds around me and I have so many people that have things to say. And even if they don't have nothing to say, I got so many people that could just sit here and shoot the shit and clown and have a good time. Like I see all these people that are on YouTube or TikTok, and I'm like, these people ain't half as interesting as my homies. These people ain't half as interesting as the people that I chill around on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
We have a good time, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, and sometimes I'm not even on like that tip. I'm like, yo, this is exactly how me and my homies are. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see a good podcast, or I see some people shooting golf out on the course or in the studio making music, and they're just as talented as I am, I don't get jealous. I'm like, yo, these people, this is exactly how we are. Why the hell we ain't showing people this?
So I'm sure, like, even the people behind the scenes right now, our homeboys, we all will say you're one of the most solid people we've ever met.
Appreciate that.
Because you stay real all the time, no matter what emotion and what's going through. But I think what comes along with that is you've got so many different personalities that you're attached to. Mm-hmm. That's what's so great for you is because no one person that comes in here is gonna be the same.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's my hope for it is that I'm hoping that I can have people like you and the music. I got poets. I got funny clown dudes that just gonna trip. I got. You know what I mean? I got. I'm hoping to have people that can talk about finances and things like that.
You could bring the kennel.
The kennel dude. I definitely want to have 40 on here and talk about his knowledge of the game. You know what I mean?
You could bring Johnny in here to talk about the MMA stuff.
MMA, all that stuff, and
that's what's
even
great about you as a
entrepreneurs
person and how you are is like your tree branches out to so many different things.
Yeah, man. Well, that's why. Thank you.
No doubt.
Because that's why I made the logo the way I made it. Is like it's the water with the tree growing out. Because I just want, like I said, I want it to be growth. Think harder, work smarter, and if you want it to grow, just add water. It's the water pod, baby.
Yes, sir.
So I wanna thank you for coming on, bro. I'm gonna have you on multiple times. Like I don't feel like we had a great conversation, but I feel like we got so much more to talk about. Dude. I feel like
there's gonna be a time where I come in here and I actually hit some of that big bottle of liquor y'all had earlier.
Yeah.
And we're gonna sit in here and we're just gonna cut.
That's all we gotta do.
And that's what I want to do. I just want to make material that's entertaining for people.
Yeah.
But to see who we really are behind the music.
That's my
stuff.
goal. Is like that's why I had you on first because I want people to really understand that like we're not just musicians that just like make music and like we got accolades and like I know I introduce you with your accolades, but you's a bad motherfucker, so I gotta let people know. But at the end of the day, that's not what we about, bro. No. Like you could look around the room and I got plenty of stuff that I've done and things and that, but the thing that I'm most proud of is knowing people like you, knowing people like my homies for being there, for being able to put out this content and help people grow and just like let people know your story. And like I've learned stuff about you today and I've known you almost 20 years, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like that's what the podcast is about, because if I've known you this long and you said some stuff that I didn't know about you, then I can't imagine the person that's only been listening to you for a year or 2 years or 3 years. There's so much they don't know about you. So
which brings me, well, I gotta say this before I go. Like he mentioned on earlier, I'm into this retro gaming thing. If y'all have old systems laying around that you don't think work no more, you know, or your great grandpappy got a Nintendo and you've been looking at it like, damn, what is that?
We're looking for an Atari right now.
You know what I mean?
You know?
Hit up your boy, man, Dusty Roadz. I'm on Facebook, Retro Roadz on TikTok.
Yes, sir. You know, and I'll in the link on the YouTube or wherever, you know, wherever we put this, I'll put the links to his socials. To Mason Jar socials, like he said, we just dropped Baggage Claim. I don't know if we even mentioned it. Like I'm sure y'all have gotten the gist of it, but me and him brothers, we on the Mason Jar music label together with our boy City, T-Dub, and the whole gang. So go check it out.
I think, man, you got something we need to work on.
Yeah, we got to work on that mud, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been talking about mud for a while. Dusty and I have been making music together for years, man. And it's so seamless. It's so organic every time we get together, man. Like, it's just awesome. So I feel like nobody else could be the first podcast guest for me, because that's my dog. I thank you so much for coming on, brother. And like I said, tune in to the Water Pod. We're going to drop it on Water Wednesdays.
The Water Pod.
Peace.
Yeah.
This morning, God telling me I gotta bust some more. Grinding the daily, cause lately I've been had too much to prove. Devil still over my shoulder, my heart getting cold.